And welcome to our Radnor Township Design Review Board meeting. Before we get started, we'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd please ask you, if you haven't done so already, to please turn your cell phones off. And just to let you know, these meetings are televised live. So when you approach the podium, please tell us who you are and the business you represent, and you can lay your plans out at the table next to the podium. So we'll get started. Our first application tonight is DRB 2019-04, the application of Tower Health at 635 Conestoga Road in Villanova for a ground sign and a wall sign. And I see you've left us some fresh plans. Yes. So, okay, so we'll take a look at those, right?
Do you need these laid out on the table?
Yeah, would you please? Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Good evening.
Hi.
My name's Matt Robinson. I'm with L&H Sign in Reading, Pennsylvania.
Hi, Matt.
Hello. We're providers for Tower Health, their signage, and the Tower Health hospitals.
Okay, why don't you just walk us through, and maybe we'll start with the wall sign first.
Let me just run through. Last
Sure.
year, Tower Health purchased the Premier Urgent Cares. There was 19 locations total, and they're in the process of rebranding them. They've taken their time because they want their brand to match consistently throughout all 19, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I think what we've done here is match a lot of like for like in terms of construction methods and illumination. So if we'll walk you through the main sign, the wall sign, is a set of channel letters, much like what was existing over here. Two set of letters, goes right up on the soffit. Pretty tight letter, manufactured 6.5 inch high. They're retainerless letters, so they don't have trim cap like a channel letter would be in a shopping center. It's a little bit nicer of an edge.
Okay.
So it's a recessed face in there. There you go on the front, replacing the channel letters on the raceway that say Premier. Colors, acrylics, LED illumination, and vinyl copy.
So the red urgent care, is that a box then?
Yes, that is a channel letter box. It's made in the same fashion without a retainer. It's the acrylic is shoulder cut and sunken into the box.
So that's going to have to adhere to the opaque then.
Right.
Yeah. Matt, at nighttime, the urgent care, the box itself,
Yes.
the only thing that's allowed to be illuminated is just the letters. So the red should appear black at nighttime?
Okay, so the red has to be opaque?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So naturally, it's red during the day, but at nighttime, it's got to go black, so.
Understood.
Yeah. The logo,
Mm-hmm.
is, what kind of application is that or material?
Same application, it's illuminated facelit letter. What we'll more than likely do based on the size of this and knowing you have all those little lines at this height, we're probably going to have to box it in, and the parts that are shown as the same color of the wall will be opaque in the same color of the wall. So when it lights up, you just had to see the blue shape of the tower.
Mm-hmm. Were you guys on the board when this came before us originally?
No.
Okay, I know it was real close to being, we have a limit of 15 feet from grade,
Okay.
and it was pretty close, so just be aware of that.
Okay.
Try to squeeze it in.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That peak of a tower is always a challenge.
Yeah. So, okay. Are you guys okay with that? The signage?
With the wall sign?
Yes. Okay. Tim?
My one question really is, when you have that red box there, was it your intent to have the red box actually be illuminated red at night?
I believe that's a consistency throughout, yes.
Okay, because when you look at it during the day, it just in the picture as it stands out, it's kind of a very bright red box, but then at night, then it's just going to be the white letters.
Right. And that'll contrast fine against the blue.
Okay.
So if we have to opaque the red just a piece, that's fine.
I didn't know if the intent was at night for the red to be the
Yes.
illumination, because for the urgent care, I can understand why the red would be consistent with, you know, an urgent
Absolutely.
ER type place. So I didn't know if there was any thought about switching the box for the lettering to be red.
On the Premier Urgent Care that was there, their last two letters are ER. Did they also light white at night, or were they lighting red?
Well, they were letters, so they could light red.
What's it? Okay, so a letter can,
It's
So
the
if I-
lettering, the lettering is what can be illuminated.
so if I reverse it and make, no, I don't think their brand won't want to do that.
Okay, that's really.
Understood that you can, and only the letters light, I got it.
Yeah, that's really what I was just questioning with
Okay.
that. If that's the intent, then that's fine.
Gotcha.
Our client were to change their mind, would that be?
I'm sorry, could you, okay.
My apologies. I'm Carrie Owen.
Hi.
How are you?
Right into the mic, please.
Yes, I apologize. If our client was to change their mind and use red channel letters and have the white, just because of the consistency with the emergency, that is a concern of the client, would we have to come back and represent that? Or,
I don't think so. I think we would just ask that you would,
Amend the plans.
amend the plans and drop them
And
off to
resubmit
Township
them to-
building so they can
okay.
keep them in your file.
Right, because I could see we're just continuing the Tower Health urgent care in all channel letters with the red for the urgent care. I could see where you don't even need the box then, and it would just stand on the
Right.
back of the wall, and it might look nicer during the day.
I don't know if
Yeah.
these existing
I'm
illuminate
sorry,
red.
your mic.
I'm not sure if they light red at night now.
I don't think it's open at night right now.
it's open until, I believe, 9 o'clock.
Okay. I just looked at it on the way up here, so I was,
It's, and especially with it being light for much later, much later in the day.
Okay.
What will your hours be?
It'll be the same, the 9 to 9.
So I guess we don't have an issue if they want to change it.
I have no issue with that.
Okay. All right, good.
Just as long as it does not illuminate red in the
Yes.
cabinet.
Right.
Okay, understood.
I think I personally would probably prefer it, but that's just my own personal.
Yeah,
preference
do
with
you like the cabinet itself? I know that's what they're doing, but I'd rather
No.
see the cabinet go.
I think the cabinet's there to have the red show.
Yes.
But without the red showing, because you have to have it be
Right,
big, then you don't need a box there.
yeah, okay.
But
All right, so it kind of give you a little bit of a free hand on that then,
Yeah,
okay?
There's a bunch of different ideas.
Okay,
We'll come back, whatever it is, we amend it, we'll.
yeah,
send
just
it
like I
to
say,
Central.
send some new plans through.
Well, you don't have to come back for that approval
Understood.
from our board.
Okay, good. And then,
That may change your design on the monument now.
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully not, depending on what we do here.
Is
Again,
that-
we're
is that
going
a-
for consistency.
Is the monument to be illuminated?
The monument's illuminated also, that will be a routed metal face, so the background's opaque. Copy is a push-through acrylic.
so you left two plans with us, one for a vertical and
We
one
did,
for a
at the
horizontal.
time of submission, our client had not decided what they wanted to go with, so they were pushing for the elongated version, the taller of the two versions that we submitted.
The problem with the vertical, the taller one, you're actually over your square footage allowance by quite a bit.
Question on that, if we were, the square footage on the drawings is calculated as the entire sign height. A third of that sign is the base of the
Right.
sign. Or do we have to calculate the base as well? Because there's zero copy on
Yeah,
that.
we
If I were
really-
just to calculate the copy area, the
Yes.
full area, that would be well with under, probably about 26 square feet.
Yeah, you're allowed 25.
So if I submit a new set calculating true sign area as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to the entire sign and the base, because you don't typically
Right.
calculate the base.
Right.
So that would reach the 8-foot height
My
allowance.
only concern is it's such a busy street, and does it conflict with traffic?
You mean the height?
The height,
Yeah.
I could see somebody trying to pull out of one of the ends of the driveway and not seeing because of it being so tall. So there is a safety aspect to that.
and people on Conestoga Road close to there use the pedestrian footway
Sure.
to get around vehicles. So I don't know, that would be my
Yeah.
concern with the
I don't
the
think
8
they-
feet.
Yeah, there's no pedestrian there. They just use the margins.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I mean, the existing one is basically the horizontal type,
Yeah.
and I think it's
And I
plenty
think it works.
visible. Yeah, I think it's fine.
I don't know if the 8-foot would then introduce a traffic study with the police.
We would probably ask for that, just to
Right.
play it safe.
Correct. So-
Kind of gets us off the hook too a little bit, so. Yeah, the idea with this horizontal versus vertical, when the sign code was first enacted in 1990, they wanted lower signs.
Sure.
So you actually could do 30 square feet with a lower sign, horizontal sign, and they kind of restricted just a little bit to 25 square feet if you build it up, so.
I think in this case, we would calculate the base
On a horizontal or
on a vertical.
vertical, well, he can go up to 10 feet from grade,
Right.
yeah. No, I'm sorry, you can go 15. You can go 15, but you're limited to 25 square feet. And right now, they're coming in at 34, so. Yeah, the base is always like a tricky
Oh, it is,
calculation
because
there.
it is a skirt, and there's no
Yes.
advertising on it.
Right.
It's always open to interpretation.
Yeah,
So which one are you presenting?
We're presenting the vertical one, but it sounds like you want a traffic study if we do the vertical one. Is that what you're requesting?
just to play it safe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you're not blocking anything.
Are there any concerns with the monument type sign, the horizontal layout?
With the
The
horizontal?
horizontal?
That just again goes back to the branding with the red. I think you might have a question there.
Right,
about
that
the
would have
box.
to be opaque is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, so at night it would just be the white letters that are shining
Right.
through.
Are you proposing the same location as the existing monument
Yes.
sign?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that location.
The logo can't be, the light can't go through the logo either, right? It's just something.
He can like the logo.
It
Yeah,
can.
Yeah, I can never remember that one.
yeah. Yeah.
I have no objection to the horizontal.
No.
No, I don't either. Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll go back and tell them what your findings are. that
Sure.
You're proving that one, and if they want to proceed with the traffic study, that's.
And to put the address on the horizontal, I guess it does, it's not actually on there.
Is there opportunity on the base there?
Sure.
Okay,
Then you're going to count it as square footage, right?
of course.
Just the numbers required.
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Any more
So
on the
that,
monuments?
so the material on that is going to be the
It's
face?
same. It's the aluminum construction, aluminum faces, routed push-through illuminated copy,
And turn it lit naturally. Okay, it'll be
LED
opaque.
illumination.
Mm-hmm.
And just so you know, too, if it's a concern, the tower has us place all of their illuminated signs on dimmers, so if they do get too bright, they can tone them down.
Oh, good.
Because they're very aware of that.
Okay. Let me just, real quick, going back to the wall sign, naturally you'll patch up existing holes and stuff like that. Okay, good, good.
Yeah. Redo the whole front facade.
What else, guys? Yeah.
Um,
I think there were some graphics for the door.
Yes, there's a set of vinyl graphics.
Yeah.
Entry, showing the hours.
I think we're fine with that. It's a 20% rule, but hours and stuff we don't really look at. It would just be, again, the graphics.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think it's
that
fine.
the small kind of disclaimers at the bottom, I think, we just let that go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And these do not light.
I just had one question on the, what is the, on the cover page, there's a building, and then the pergola is part of the logo. Do you know the history of the pergola? Do you know what building that is?
It's their main building in Reading.
Ah.
They have a great old pergola, and it's carried over from Reading Health to Tower now. And it's something they really push for all of their designs. And
Yeah.
everywhere we're doing large format branding, that's what you see is the tower. So they want it to be synonymous with Tower Health.
Ah, okay. Hey, Matt, just to go back to the.
Did your homework.
It's our client, we have to.
Matt, just go back to the monument sign for a second. How are you going to work around the red box on that?
I don't know yet. I may just keep it there red and, again, make it opaque.
Okay,
Just do it finished part of the face, and then keep the
Yeah.
letters white. It's really, they're going to make final call.
okay,
You know, we'll present the options.
Sure.
We'll present some solutions to them.
okay.
You know, there's things I could do where I could take that lettering that's on there and make it look white during the day, make it light red at night. So
Okay.
there's options to be
All
done.
right. Okay, guys, any other questions for Matt?
I don't think so.
You good? You guys are okay with us? Any
Yep.
other questions? You all right? Okay, good. Who wants to take the first one?
In the matter of DRB 2019-04, the application of Tower Health for the approval of a ground sign and wall signage, move to approve.
Here, a second?
Ground sign? Which one?
The monument sign.
Based on the need for a traffic study, if they,
Oh, that's
depending,
a good point. I guess it is the,
it depends on which selection they choose.
Right.
If you, decide to go vertical will require a traffic study. If you go horizontal, we'll approve, right?
Conform my motion to that.
Okay, good. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great, thanks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks. Next application tonight is DRB 2019-13, the application of IM Health Walker Family Properties at 372 West Lancaster Avenue in Wayne for ground sign, wall sign, and an awning, and the applicant doesn't appear to be here, so we will continue to next month. And next is DRB 2019-17, the application of La Cabra Brewing at 810 Glenbrook Avenue in Bryn Mawr for awnings, and doesn't look like the applicant is here, so we'll continue that also.
I think we're going to withdraw that one.
We're going to withdraw that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Peggy. Okay, so that's a withdrawal. And then next is DRB 2019-23, the application of Jaguar Land Rover Main Line at 325 East Lancaster Avenue in Wayne for an addition and a facade change.
We found one.
Yeah, exactly. How you doing? Good. You know what, if it helps you, we can have a handheld mic? Yeah. Looks like you're gonna have a lot of plans and, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I'm Kevin Dowell. I'm the owner of KD2 Architects. We're the local architect taking care of the franchise, basically forced renovation to Jaguar, the main line.
Okay, good to have you here, Kevin.
Sales must be good, huh?
Yeah. Hey, Jason, how you doing there? No problem.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, you didn't look at it, just like.
Yeah. Looks good?
We're good?
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
So what you guys are looking at is the implementation of the Jaguar Land Rover new image program that they're trying to push. The two pictures down here in the bottom corner are the existing facades. The bottom one is Lancaster Ave, and the one right above that is Ironworks Way. Essentially, the difference is they're looking for us to come back and straighten out both elevations and bring it around the back with a consistent parapet height. The exterior walls also kind of get squared off. We're using a darker metal panel. I think the name, which I will predominantly, the building is going to be what's called a JLR Sunshine Gray Metallic Alucobond, basically like a charcoal gray. Then you see there is an accent right down the middle on Lancaster Ave. Normally, this would be where the main doors are, but essentially here, this is kind of the back of the facility. Everybody would park behind the building, and we have a secondary entrance there with a similar accent. The secondary color is kind of the typical brushed silver that you see most places. And then the third sample down here is the ribbed. We have the profile in black, but it'll really be the brushed silver that I've laid right on top of it. So the lower elevation we're looking at here is, again, Lancaster Ave. So you have the dark metal panel. You have the bright silver accent in the middle, and then to either side of that you have buck glazing, or the Old Castle fin wall system is the technical name, and then it kind of has a beveled return that is also the brushed silver. The left side of the building is where the building is set back a little bit, and that's currently where the parts is, and then even further back is the second floor. That gets finished with the ribbed metal panel in the bright silver over a new insulation layer to meet code. The next page is the other two elevations, and so the upper elevation here is Ironworks Way, so we're carrying that dark gray all the way around, and then a big window, big buck-glazed window. That's where we'll also have our vehicle entry points, and then the beveled brushed silver again around the window. And then as you get further towards the back of the property, you can see where the addition is, and this is the punch-out of the service drop-off lane, and that gets a brushed silver, the brighter color silver, around it. The bottom elevation here is the side that faces the shopping center, and so that's essentially just going to be the brushed silver, but in the ribbed panel you see here. Additionally, this is the site plan. Right now, as you can kind of see in the existing elevation, there's kind of a curved Jaguar entry here, or I'm sorry, main kind of focal point of Jaguar here. As you get further back, the Ironworks Way elevation, you have the old tower for what Land Rover wanted. That's all kind of getting reconstructed so that it'll be a straight line. So it actually requires us to reframe this front corner, and then in the back we're enclosing the current canopy, creating conditioned space. This piece here, and I don't know how well you can see it because it's shaded in on this, but that is the current second floor that sticks up, and so earlier when I referenced that you'd see the ribbed panel beyond, that's where it is in places that's visible. And then behind that is our new service drive, and then also kind of an extension of the showroom. And again, that's all clad in the silver where it's visible from our parking lot, the brushed silver ACM as you get around the corner, and it's just the service drive down to the lower level service entrance. That's where we go to the ribbed. The civil engineer does have a few new light poles. This is the cut sheet for it. There are new light poles along this kind of back area here. The islands kind of between the immediate parking right against the building and then the drive that gets you back to the service drive. I guess that's kind of, is there anything else I need to cover?
No, I'm sure. Some questions? Tim?
I have a few questions. The main entrance is on.
Sorry, Mike.
Sorry, I have a few questions.
Yeah, no
My
problem.
apologies for being late. The main entrance is on the north elevation, correct? Roughly
main
between.
entrance, yeah, the main entrance will be the north elevation, and so let's skip back to the. Okay, so what you're, maybe I didn't cover this one well enough. So this is the north elevation. This is facing the parking lot or the back of the building. So on the left here is kind of where the showroom, the kind of the treatment we have for the Ironworks Way side wraps the corner. As you get further in, the stair tower occurs right about here, and then we have what we anticipate being the main entrance for anybody who parks and then just kind of walks in. This door here with then the similar treatment to what we did on Lancaster, which is the brushed silver above it. And then this piece here, which is the service drive, actually punches out closer to you.
And the reason why I ask is so basically to the left, if we're looking at the north elevation, so what would be east or just plan left, is essentially a built up, or that currently as it exists now, that thing's open essentially.
That is, and so we're
We're
enclosing
that portion.
Yes, so we're using the existing roof structure and then just putting new studs with kickers back
Right.
to treat the snow load.
I'm sorry, my first question should have been, is this Jaguar/Land Rover brand consistency as far as like, are we going to see that same metal finish and the same sort of
Yes,
palette?
they're forcing
across-
that, and
Right.
I actually brought, in case I thought you might ask, this is kind of the prototype that they are pushing. So this is, if it was ground up, that's what they're looking for. And so, in theory, you know, in the prototype, this is facing the road, and you have the main door here. The problem we dealt with is that on our
Access.
site, I mean, there's a cliff right there, not a cliff, but, you know, 8-foot hill right there, and so you're actually entering off the back. But this is 100% being pushed by Jaguar and Land Rover.
And then on sort of at the very least, on the south elevation facing Lancaster Avenue.
Yes.
The current windows, are those essentially within the same frame as the existing window set that's there now?
No, we kind of had to reshuffle that a bit. You can see, if you have the plan in front of you.
Yep.
We did dash in the old roof line here, so you can get a sense of where the current gable is.
Right.
In comparison. But no, essentially, we're basically using the
You're
foundation.
raising the height of the entire front facade.
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, because we're going to cover up that gable that's there. The contractor wanted to just keep that structure in place and then throw kickers back where the wall, where the parapet just is way above the roof.
Same footprint though,
Same footprint.
except for the back addition.
In the front, we are straightening it out a little bit, so so let me clarify that a little bit. The front of this stone structure along Lancaster is actually coming back, so that it's in the same plane as the windows you see to either side. So we'll take that first truss, bring it back, and then the 6-inch studs will run right up above that. There's also kind of, the corner right now is curved, so it has that Jaguar look, and then there's kind of a little recess to either side of that. That's the one part where we actually even have to reframe the roof and just square it off. But we're taking the plane on both the side elevation and the front elevation. If you kind of see where the beige drive it is, that will be that'll be the two new gray walls that come into each other. That's the plane where the
Except
stud frame is.
The windows are recessed for your
The-
bevel.
Yeah. So the windows do come in, but we're using the foundation line there would be the dark gray metal panel.
So they're losing square footage on the showroom floor.
Yeah, well, some of the things that the franchise forces you to do doesn't ever make sense, but I mean, in their minds, they're gaining it back by enclosing that canopy in the back,
Right.
and also by squaring off the corner where Jaguar does gain, a modest amount of space.
So I think that it's kind of capitalized, and this is more sort of the conversation at hand is, I'll be honest, my concern is the sort of scale of it. Because you're increasing the roof line or creating a higher roof line, if you will, right? I mean, it's in the aggregate, right, across the entire facade. I know that it's pretty much at point with the current gable roof, but my concern with the windows to the scale of the rest of the facade, that we're not putting any signage on that, right? We're not seeing anything else on this sort of dark, heavy metal sign.
Eventually, you will see a smaller sign that they will come back to you with, but right now, they do not produce anything that would meet your zoning.
I mean, I don't know if this opinion is shared by anyone else on the committee, but it just seems a little sort of heavy-handed, is sort of my opinion a little bit. And I only cite the building directly across the street from it, right? The Bryn Mawr Trust is a heavy brutalist building, but the fenestration on that is pretty balanced, if you will. And this seems as if it's a little unbalanced and almost becomes too heavy of just a box. And I think the concern of this committee is to sort of concern ourselves with, if and when, if ever, right, Land Rover and Jaguar were to relocate somewhere else, we're left with sort of a pretty sightly box that may not be able to be used. I'm just kind of concerned with how big this thing reads.
Also coupled with what we just approved the other week or last month with the building that's being combined next to it, where it's keeping kind of
It's
the
maintaining.
aesthetics that
right.
are already there.
And it's not to sort of discredit the sort of brand standard that's happening. Like, I think may I see the prototype? Is that the only copy you have? Maybe I'll see that closer, because I think even in this, the balance of this is a little bit more, or maybe not, right?
It's-
And I'm just kind of counting the metal panel, right? Like, at least the joints that you have here are the panel size, it's kind of like a 4 to 6, right?
Mhm.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
I mean, you're European, so it's converted from millimeters, but
Right.
what is
But then I think where this one works a little bit better is because it's longer, it's wider, so those proportions don't seem as sort of.
It's also a box on top of a hill,
Yeah. So it kind of makes it a little bit, even that much more
so there's
pronounced.
that aspect of it too.
Here's a second copy of it, a little bit bigger.
Right. And potentially, this is not for today's discussion, but potentially we could see signage like this being requested then,
Yeah.
coming from this committee
Just
next
a
time.
smaller version.
Right,
The
right.
owner told him he doesn't want to go for a variance on that, so he wanted to.
And the only reason why I say that is because then maybe I'm not as opposed to it. Right now, the
Right.
signage helps break down the scale
Yeah, it
of
really
that
does,
a
yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's helpful.
What is the new overall height? I don't see it on the elevation.
26.4 and a half.
And it's pretty much almost at the same height of the gable, the peak there in that center. But now, again, because of,
Parapet 2911, right?
That's further back. That's the second floor in the distance. So if, right where my finger is here, it says top of showroom parapet elevation 26.4 and a half.
Yep. And that's, I'm assuming that's the same height as the existing peak?
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to work with the existing building as best we can. A lot of times our, owners are being kind of pushed towards this.
The exterior, like the sidewalk, is that going to pretty much stay where it's at?
Mhm.
Okay, no change there. How about landscaping? Is there going to be a major change on the landscaping?
For the most part, I think they were basically keeping it the same.
So you're really almost reskinning the building in some ways.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And then reconfiguring the entire inside.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I can see, Jason, what you're talking about. Yeah, it's a box. But I guess
Do you know
that's,
what the height of the existing building is at the bottom of the peak? That'll tell us how much you're raising.
approximately, you can see it
Well,
on, it's like 16.3.
Yeah, 16.3 is kind of what the top of this kind of brown area. Sorry, I keep picking it up.
Yeah.
What was the consideration for raising the entire height of the building rather than reducing the peak?
Work with the existing roof lines.
It's more demolition and
Yeah.
it's more work and more cost,
Yeah.
right? It's actually easier just to throw, the
Yeah.
the
I
whole
mean, as we get
facade
around
and
the
wrap
side,
it.
at the back of the Ironworks Way and return too, there's also the second floor that we're dealing with.
Right, but what I was asking was really the utility of increasing the height. It's not like you're gonna have a second floor in there where you're gonna have offices in that
No,
section.
no, yeah, exactly. We were trying to keep the existing roof lines with just then kickers to
So,
take the
so
window.
truly, there's the cost aspect of raising the entire height of the roof, or the
There's a little bit of cost with the extra metal panel, the
Right.
extended studs.
there's that,
versus
and then
but-
but it really is the aesthetic. The value of raising it, the entire building to the same level as where the peak is currently now, is to save costs on the demolition and also to obtain an aesthetic appearance.
Mhm. Yeah, they're looking for a straight parapet line all the way around the showroom.
So not that this is like a blockbuster, but I'm thinking like just a corner over, right? The big blue sort of mansard roof of the blockbuster that used to be there. That's, I'm dating myself. That's a good
Right.
10 years ago at least, right? But,
Next block.
yeah. Um,
join you in dating yourself.
So,
I think when the signage goes up, it'll,
and I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
gonna-
biggest part that I
Sure.
might be
think this-
struggling with.
I think this is a bad angle. Like, I mean,
I don't think there's going to be a good one when you're looking straight on at it either,
Yeah.
right?
No, but
From
if we
like
took an
from this
aerial, it wouldn't
photograph.
look as towering.
Yeah, right. But this is the view you're going to see, right? You come up and
Yeah.
that's the road that you come out of your car right there and pull down. I mean, you're going to see that view into your. I can't remember who. It's up on the hill too, right? So it's on this plinth that's more pronounced.
Kevin, you have any?
Is there? I mean, ask. Is there any? So, like, without seeing like section 2 on sheet 410, is there any lighting feature in the chamfered edge? Right. So, of that chamfered piece that's going back, there's no sort of internal
There's
illumination in that,
no, because
other
then
than
you
just the.
spotlight the car right inside the window.
Right.
Is what they're looking to do.
Kevin, I mean, your building kind of backs up to the condos.
Yeah.
You had any feedback from the residents of the condos?
I don't believe they got
Okay.
any.
They're on board with the plan, they've seen it and all?
Yeah, I mean, I think the owner of that was trying to bid the job, so.
Oh, okay, all right.
So they're not funny.
Okay, I got you. All right. So I mean, you're going to put some new lights up? You think it's going to interfere with the people in the back at all? Is that a worry?
I don't anticipate it. The change in lighting was simply, I believe there was a light right here, so kind of as you enter and then turn back, because now our circulation to get to service has been pushed back a little bit. We've enclosed this area, and then our service drive is straight ahead. So customers are going to kind of loop in here, and then there's a new pole-mounted light here, and then one again. I think it's on the other side over here.
So Kevin, I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of where you're at.
Yeah.
The one, is that the corner on Route 30 or is that in the back?
Route 30's down here.
Okay,
This
I'm
is
sorry.
as you're coming up the
Yes,
hill of
okay.
Ironworks Way.
Right,
You turn
okay.
into the property.
Okay, right.
But right now, you can kind of go straight ahead and then just hit customer parking. Now, going straight ahead would simply enter right into the
Okay.
service drop-off lane. So everybody will be coming back. So the one pole-mounted light was right here, and then there's an existing one, 3 of them actually with 3 heads on this side.
Okay. The
Yeah,
lighting
where-
that's along Route 30, that'll stay as is?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
plan for
All
now.
right.
That's the plan.
Okay. It's kind of a weird one, isn't it? The double header.
Yeah, So, and again, I apologize, we can't sort of deliberate on proposed signage, but there would never be any proposed signage along the Ironworks Way facade, on that east facade?
Well, not without a variance, I don't think we could make those numbers work.
Right.
Ideally, that's what they would like. So, in their prototype package to us, they actually,
Kind of what I'm leaning towards, like otherwise I would argue that, man, what can we do to reduce that facade? The sort of the height there, like could we pull it down and then you go back up again when you get closer to the corner and the stairwell portion?
now how does that work though when we go into zoning and say we want? Because I've been told like, you're never getting that, so that's
Well,
kind of
we
why we
we
went.
could look at it. I mean, there's a road, a dedicated road that divides the American Legion post from the Land Rover. So I don't know.
It has
It
frontage
would
on
be a
2
corner.
Yeah, we
legitimate
can
streets.
consider
Yeah,
that.
corner property.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
so it wouldn't be any different than Wayne Jewelers being on North Wayne Avenue and Route 30. It's a corner property. It's,
You have the linear,
unless Ironworks Way is part of an HOA and the township doesn't maintain it.
I don't know if the code actually delineates between a private road versus a public road.
yeah, I guess we'd have to look into that and see. Yeah.
I would think it's,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I would think it's a township road just because of the business and residential usage.
right.
Okay, I guess we'd have to find that out. So maybe you can look into that and see if it's township owned, and I guess we could probably say, throw a little signage on that side then, right?
Yeah, to help break it up.
Sure.
I think that would ease my sort of concern. I mean, definitely seeing it on the front helps, right?
Yeah. Okay, all right, that's something to look into, and
Okay.
so we'll see you again for signage, naturally, so, in a month or 2 or whenever, so. Okay.
But you would actually prefer to see kind of, I mean, that's where I feel like zoning is gonna kill us. We did
I mean,
do-
that's the due diligence, though, for trying to see, like, what do you want to achieve? Can we achieve it, including the signage, right? And to some degree, the signage is sort of an integral component to this, right? I think the more I'm leaning towards it, it might be sort of half dependent on my
But this
vote.
would be the proposed signage,
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
which isn't
To some scale of-
offensive.
No, no,
It's
no.
at the scale of the facade.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard to sort of, in its current sort of iteration that we're seeing now, it's hard to really wrap my brain around it and say, yeah, this is
The only
good.
thing, this looks like the windows are larger.
Well, I think if
In the
you,
prototype.
The parapet's lower. Because we're limited on how high we can go with that glazing type, because it's the buck glaze stuff, which is kind of like the racquetball court fin behind it.
right.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, it's longer. Like, if you look at that versus this is like,
I'm just trying to
Isn't
scale
as
it to
wide.
the,
Right.
the vehicles and the.
it.
but that's roughly, if you look at the panel joints to that, it's roughly the same. And what I mean by that is, it's 4 panels of metal panel to the glass, and then it's 6 above that. And what we're seeing in the prototype, which is similar to what's being documented here. It's just that, again, I think it's squished versus that one's a wider facade. And so that the proportions don't feel as quite the same as a result.
Okay.
Is the color, is it black or did you say charcoal?
No,
Is
it's
it
more like a charcoal. It's just
So there's gray,
dark gray.
yeah.
Could we see that? Do you mind? May I see that? With the accent one as well? I'm sorry, I don't mean to make you go twice.
And the beveled returns would match the accent?
Correct.
The beveled would be, the beveled returns would be the bright silver.
So I think, it's good seeing this, because this doesn't render
Rates darker.
as dark as your actual rendering.
Yeah.
I think it's very similar to, doesn't
Yeah, it's
the
nice.
Ferrari up the street use kind of that same gray?
Different township.
You have a Ferrari, right?
Yeah, I have 2.
You have 2 Ferraris, okay. Yeah,
They're this big, 99 cents.
yeah,
Like, I think it's a more modern building, it's definitely, it's a more boxy building.
yeah.
If you think about this building in connection with what they're doing with the shopping center down the street, with the micro center and all of that, there is some similarity with that. Clearly, there's been a lot of recent investment into rejuvenating the aesthetics in that section of Lancaster Ave. I think this works with that. I hear what Jason's saying, and the fear of having an empty box sitting there does concern me. But so far, this company has shown a commitment to that location. I think Jaguar and Range Rover or Land Rover or whatever it is do fit within the main line.
Yeah.
So I see plenty of them enough driving around. So that'll alleviate some of my concern about the future of that building. And also, Colin and I were just talking before the presentation started, this building is relatively new, actually.
You're right.
So who knows if corporate will change their
Oh,
branding.
this is the profession that keeps giving back every 10 years we redo it.
Yeah.
So we could see you in another 10 years.
Right. And then the one other thing I guess I would say is when you guys talk about being left with an empty box, I mean, I think it's more useful than if they left out of there now.
And then another tenant will come in and renovate it.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
That's,
So,
so I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah, color-wise, everything you guys are,
Well, especially seeing these
Yeah.
up close, it's much, the in-person looking at the
It's kind of like
aesthetics.
like an Apple Store concept.
Right.
Yeah.
clean lines,
Yeah.
basically, yeah. Kevin, just one little thing, trash, is that gonna pretty much stay where it's at, or are they gonna change it?
I haven't heard anything about that, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming it stays exactly the way
Again,
it
you're
is.
just worried about the neighbors behind there, and,
I think it's right in the top corner here, where, this being kind of furthest from the intersection where Ironworks Way and Lancaster is.
okay, so it looks like it's staying where it was, okay. All right, so we'll see you for signage. Other comments, questions for Kevin?
What's the timeline?
As soon as possible. So part of getting through here without the signage was so that everything else could
Sure.
proceed. So
Okay.
Land Rover's really putting pressure on.
And they
them
plan to
move.
remain open?
Yeah, what we want to do is try to do the additions first in the back, and then probably run sales out of the addition, and then we can kind of come back and do the showroom. So it'd probably, it'd start in the back and then
Right.
work our way forward.
Good luck.
Yeah, best of luck.
But keep in mind, our next meeting's June 12th.
Okay.
If you want to get on that agenda, you're going to have to get your signage package in before May 22nd.
Okay. Now, does it matter if we wait a month
No,
or two?
no, it
Because, I
doesn't.
mean, by the
No,
time
not
we
at
need
all.
the signs, it's gonna
That's fine.
be a little
Right.
bit.
Just in case you're hot to, get your signage in.
Okay.
Yeah,
Usually new businesses are looking to get the signs up quicker, but you guys are an established business there, so.
just in case. so.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Thank you.
Kevin, you have any other comments for us or questions?
No, I
You're
think.
okay? Somebody, Tim, you want to take this one?
In the matter of DRB 2019-23, the application of the Jaguar Land Rover main line, the application for an addition and for new facade, move to approve.
Here, a second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
guys.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Okay.
Kevin.
Thank you.
We don't need these.
Okay, next on the agenda tonight is DRB 2019-24, the application of Hip City Veg at 232 North Radnor Chester Road in Wayne for wall sign and tenant panels. And just for a point of reference, this is across from Radnor High School.
Yep.
Yep, okay, good. Hi there.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, how you doing?
Good, thanks.
That's good.
All right, this is, just up the road at 232 Radnor Chester Road.
Like to use a handheld? Would it be easier for you? Okay. You bet.
Okay,
Tell us who you are.
I'm Diane Quigley. I'm with Horizon Signs,
Great.
representing Hip City Veg. Veg?
Oh, I see.
Not sure, I'm assuming
I
it's
think
a
I butchered it.
vegan type of
Right,
restaurant.
okay.
So, the size of this sign isn't obviously an issue. It's 7 square feet. So that's not, I don't think anything that's going to cause any kind of questions.
Where is that going?
232 Radnor Chester Road.
Yeah.
This is on the facade, the storefront
Gotcha.
facade.
Sorry, I wasn't farther enough in my plans.
The difference is from what you see in this photo, the other tenants, is how it's mounted. If you look at this photo, you can see that there's kind of like a channel in this recessed area of the storefront. There's like a channel, and in the bottom of this channel, there's lighting, and then these other tenants have their signs that kind of come up on these brackets. So they're not mounted against the wall in
Okay.
any way. Hip City Veg wants to mount against the back wall.
Okay.
So these existing tenants have non-illuminated letters on these brackets, and there's lighting in that channel, shines up on these. This individual channel letters that are illuminated, and they want to mount against the back rather than be in this, this bracket type of mounting. So that's really the difference that
They don't want to be consistent, huh?
yeah.
You think that's an issue?
There's always someone.
You're right.
I actually like the brackets. I never noticed.
The property owner doesn't require the consistent signage?
He didn't.
Okay.
Will they be off the back? They won't be at the same plane. They'll be recessed from the existing.
Right, because it's only gonna
Proud an inch. from
3 and a half
Right. I don't know if you'll even notice.
inches off of the back there.
Just different shadow lines, I guess, really.
Now, I did drive past tonight to see if every tenant, and pretty much every tenant was on that bracket, except that restaurant on the end, which probably won't be able to pronounce either.
Estevia.
They
That's
didn't
the, or
put,
Pietros.
They put signage on the wall too. They
Right.
didn't put it in the bracket either, and the bracket does go, or not the bracket, but that recessed part does go around the building. But they didn't put their signs, they put it on the
It's
wall
actually a
too.
pretty ingenious detail.
For the bracket?
The sign cavity. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it.
I guess I don't have a problem with it. You guys
Oh,
are on board with
also,
it?
we have a couple tenant panels.
Yes.
Um,
So just before we
Just-
leave the wall, Jason, you're okay?
Well, I mean, my concern a little bit, I'll be honest, is in context to, look, I like Hip City Veg. I've eaten on the one at Rittenhouse Square, right? I'd hate to see it leave, but Hubbub left, right? And so that sign came down. If Hip City Veg were to leave, now we're left with holes in the metal panel that will need to be filled to match, or will then subsequently have to be resurfaced, or hope that the next tenant's sign blocks
It
the
looks
holes.
as though that is in sections though.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it could just be replaced
Right,
and
pop
you'd
one
never
out.
see the holes. So I imagine that's
It'll
not,
never match, but whatever.
That's sort of my concern, but I mean, like, if, to your point earlier, Tim, if the owner said yeah, and really,
I'm actually shocked it did, but.
right?
Because
That
this it seems like this was an intentional.
Design detail.
Design to have this channel.
Right.
Could be different
it's so
ownership
hard.
since
I
the
went up there, it's
first
so hard to
leases.
tell. Like they're so tiny that
I'll-
it's like, it's like really
I've
hard to
eaten
tell.
at
if
those
it's-
restaurants
It's kind of like an illusion, is it?
Right.
Is it
100
off?
times. I don't know, but like, and I've never noticed.
So-
Every time I'm gonna go there now, I will now notice.
Right,
Right.
exactly.
But
Again, my concern just being the holes that are being punctured for a unique sign is just different. But again, we can't adjudicate that if the owner signed off and the sign meets code, right?
Yep.
Yep.
I would sort of caution the one thing, without sounding too terribly weird, but the sort of color temperature of the light. And what I mean by that is, at least for some consistency, right? Like,
They're
depending on
low.
the
Yeah.
light that's in that channel could have
Right.
a
So
different
these
hue
are
than what
many,
you're proposing.
Low, whatever they refer to that as, the lumens. So yeah, it will be consistent.
Low E.
Yeah. What do they call it? Let me find it on the page.
I mean, for good or for bad, it'll definitely be different on that facade if it's really that significantly different as far as, like I said, a color temperature
Right.
to the
Low
light.
volt, white LED illumination.
I don't know if this would actually be an issue, but thinking about that G at the end of veg, as it is in the picture, if it's back further than where the other signs are, or is it gonna get cut off, or, this is just, I don't know, but, other than that, I don't really have an issue with
You
anything.
mean think it would
Just
get
with-
blocked?
Yeah, it
would descend below almost.
Correct, because the angles would be slightly different, but.
I'm just looking at the honey grow that's here on the first, like that's,
Right, but that's the honey grow with it up, not on the back.
On the brackets.
well, I mean, that would be kind of sort of the next request, is kind of see what the sort of section is, the true depth of that channel, that sign band, to understand how far, like,
Because we're looking at this in 2-dimension, but it actually is not just a flat wall level
right.
or plumb with the parapet. But again, I don't think that's much of an issue. that really is more of just a comment for you and the owner to take note of, that the sign, that the actual letter heights might need to be adjusted because they're on the back wall, just so that they can be seen better, but
I think that would only occur if you're
underneath it,
15 feet or in.
yeah. Yeah, if you're on the street, I don't
At that
think it's
point,
gonna
you're
be an
already
issue.
going into
Right.
one of the businesses.
You know where you're headed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jason, you look,
Well, and then, so on page 5 of her submittal then, would you suggest that the face, regardless of the dimension being an inch and 2.5 for the face of the sign, would you, based on that, Tim, say that it should come out to align with the face of the current signs? And so that the sign itself, the cut letters are still gonna be 2.5 inches, but that 1 inch is sort of verifying field, essentially, right? Like that's the sort of question or the variable that says we bring the signs out, so at least they're consistently in alignment. Or are we just kind of
Optically, I
weeds
think,
too much?
optically, I don't think any of us have noticed any difference with those signs as it is now. I don't think we're going to see anything here. It was just a mere comment.
Right. Okay.
Colin, you on board? You all right?
Yeah, I mean, the only
Okay.
thing they could do is, get elongated through bolts.
Yeah.
That would be more of girth to hold the weight being cantilevered farther out. So there is an option, you could still probably meet the same plane of the existing signage, just adjust the hardware of how you're mounting.
So flush.
Instead of whatever it is, an inch, go whatever that is, 3 inches, and just increase the girth of the all-thread bolts.
Okay, should
If
we-
we're really
Put more
concerned.
spacers in.
Say again?
There's spacers. So you could, you know what I mean, put more spacers in too.
Sure. I think you have options.
Okay. All right.
If we require it to be in the same place.
Yeah.
That's what, yes.
Okay.
If,
Can we make that recommendation? I don't know if we can make a requirement, but we can.
we can make it as a recommendation.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay.
it's, because it could look perfectly fine just as it is.
Yeah.
We could be in the weeds. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
What do they serve?
Meat, lots and lots of meat. No. You can get a
Is it like,
vegetarian
Is
cheesesteak.
it like
Oh, really?
Yeah.
wraps or sandwiches?
It's kind of like all the above.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of good stuff.
Cool.
So,
Okay.
I think it will be a welcomed addition. I know you guys are also, they're putting one down in Suburban Square as well.
All right, good.
And there's a couple around the city.
Cool.
So, yeah,
Great.
it's good. It'll be a welcome addition. And we're not trying to, by no means are we
Oh,
fighting
no, I understand.
them coming in. We are happy to have them.
And you've got the tenant panels also to take a look
It's
at?
those one of those ones you look at, you're like, I should just do it like everybody.
Right, right.
Yeah, we have a couple tenant panels on there. I think there's 2, 2 existing. Maybe only 1.
I know why they want to do it, because they don't think the existing signage gets enough
Light.
light at night.
Yeah.
Just 1.
Yeah, I think it's just one monument
Yep,
sign down
just
there.
one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It'll be consistent with what's there now, I would
Yes.
hope. Okay.
Just a face
Right.
change.
Okay,
Same black lettering.
okay. And I would hope that they're opaque in the last years, as opaque as to match existing.
Yes.
Okay. Well,
I think I have a picture, another picture. See the lighting behind it exposed, so it's just a face over that.
okay. All right, yeah, like I say, we're looking for consistency on that, so.
Mhm.
All right. What else, guys?
I have nothing else.
All right, Eric, good. Jason?
Yep.
Are you okay? Any questions?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. All right, Colin, you want to take this one?
Sure.
Okay.
Can I, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Just for the sake of the record, that our approval is, so that last page, page 7, right, that's for the monument sign, it's saying that the, materials and everything are to be determined, right? That just, we approve that they are to match in kind with the existing monument sign.
Go ahead, take it.
All right.
Okay.
So in the matter of DRB 2019-24, the application for Hip City Veg at 232 North Radnor Chester Road for both wall sign and a tenant panel, I move to make a conditional approval, and that condition being that the tenant or monument sign, that all materials are to match existing signage and existing tenants.
Okay. You're a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
Have a good night.
So-
Okay, so we'll see you next month.
there you go.
Thank you.
What's their planned opening? I haven't ordered the sign yet.
Well, they don't make them until they get approval, so. So I'm probably headed out